How often and will Marvel Spider-Man 2 let you switch between Peter Parker and Miles Morales in the game? Let's talk about it. Yo, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today's video, we're going to be discussing more Marvel Spider-Man 2 and a big feature of the game that has been discussed for quite a while, but I still don't see a lot of people discussing how this system and how this feature could be utilized for the benefit of the player and the game. But before we do get into that, if you are new around here and enjoy all types of Spider-Man content, from news, from the movies, the games, the shows, and all stuff like that, including fan fictions where we continue lost stories, and we do pre-writes and we do rewrites. I'm actually doing a pre-write for Marvel Spider-Man 2 right now. You can see the eye icon at the top right hand side of the screen where I have linked part 1 to my Marvel Spider-Man 2 pre-write if you have not seen it already. But with that being said, let's get straight into the video. So, will Marvel Spider-Man 2 let you switch between Peter Parker and Miles Morales just freely? Will they let you do it between missions? Will they let you do it in missions? What is the news? So, it is a big talking point because this is a big feature that we could potentially have in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Marvel Spider-Man 2 being the third game in the franchise gives us that prospect since we've now had a Miles Morales game and we've had a Peter Parker game. Now, coming into this game, this will feature both Miles and Peter, most likely equally. So, it's very likely that we're going to be playing as both of them in this game, but will we be able to switch between them freely? So the pros of this is that it'll allow you to play as Miles and Peter at any time if we can just switch between them freely, which would make stories and missions quite interesting because you could go back and replay them as the different Spider-Man, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. It is possible, however, there will be certain parts of the story that will probably restrict this aspect of the game, and this will probably be due to the fact that, you probably have to do some of the game as Peter and you'd have to do some of the game as Miles. So I do see a universe where this game comes out where you probably can't switch between them freely just because certain parts of the game have to be played by Miles and certain parts of the game have to be played by Peter. Like, for example, if there is a scene with Miles Morales where you go to Rio Morales or Genki or a character from the Miles game, you can't just play that mission as Peter because obviously that is a Miles mission. Vice versa for Peter, if you get a scene with MJ, like for example they're moving into a house or something like that, just for example, you can't play that mission as Miles, obviously. So there are certain aspects of the game that would restrict this, and that's why I do think there is a possibility that you probably won't be able to switch between them freely, even in free roam when you're in the midst of the story. However, that does not mean that you might not be able to switch between them, because after the game is finished, when we get free roam, that might be when we get this ability. Now, obviously, this is quite boring because that means we can't switch between them throughout the entire game. However, I do understand maybe why we wouldn't get this option. Another example of this is the same way I see the symbiote playing a big role in whether we can switch or not. As we know, the symbiote is going to play a huge role in this game. We know that Venom is going to be in this game, and more than likely Peter is going to inherit the symbiote at some point, since the Peter Parker symbiote storyline is a massive one from the comics. It's been adapted several times and it's a really popular storyline and everyone loves it. Symbiote Spider-Man is one of the most famous and loved Spider-Man stories of all time, so Peter Parker is definitely going to get the symbiote in this game. I can almost bet my money on it. So when Peter does get the symbiote, there is most likely going to be a mission where we are playing as Miles Morales, and we will probably have to fight the symbiote version of Peter Parker, and that will most likely be a mission where both Spider-Men will fight at some point. And I do think that, take out the whole idea of them switching between each other, the prospect of both Spider-Men fighting each other in this game is very high, and I definitely think there will be a mission where this happens, especially since the symbiote is included. But going back to the will it let you switch or not, this is another reason to why it probably won't let you switch, because when we end up fighting Peter, if we end up fighting Peter in this game, obviously we can't switch to Peter Parker and play the mission from his side, when obviously Miles Morales in this situation will be playing the good guy and Peter will eventually become the quote-unquote villain of this mission. But like I did say, there is a possibility for some missions when they work together, and obviously as we saw in the trailer, them doing team-ups together and takedowns, that we might be able to switch between Miles and Peter in certain missions. However, this might not be the case for every mission, which is why it gives me doubts to whether this will be a feature at all throughout the story. But obviously when it comes to the end of the game, the likelihood we'll be able to switch between Miles and Peter is very high, and I reckon we'll probably be able to do it. So my verdict is that we'll be able to switch between Miles and Peter in certain missions where they team up together. However, I don't think we'll be able to switch between them in free roam when we're in the midst of the story, just because of starting the next mission with a certain character. However, when we get to the end of the game, I reckon we'll be able to switch between Miles and Peter freely. But with that being said, what do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section down below. Do you think this will be a big feature? Do you not think this will be a big feature? Let me know. I want to know all of your thoughts. But if you are new around here and enjoy all types of Spider-Man content, from news, from the games and the shows and the movies, and like I did say before, the fan fictions as well, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button to not miss any more content. As soon as it gets put up on the channel, you can be one of the first ones to watch the videos as soon as they go out. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. On the left, you'll see a video that's been personally chosen for you based on other videos that you enjoy. And on the right side of the screen, you'll see my most recent upload. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.